Hey everyone, welcome to another Just Gaming video. So today I'm here to talk about Returnal. If you don't know what Returnal is, it's a brand new game from Housemarquee, one of PlayStation Studios, and it's basically a roguelite type of game where you're an astronaut and you're stranded on this weird alien planet, and whenever you die you relive that same day over and over again. So you must find a way to break the cycle and to try to survive while also finding out how the hell did you end up in that situation. So basically that is Returnal as a whole. This is, like I said, a brand new game, so it's kind of popular right now, and I thought I would give you my personal, I don't want to say review, but my thoughts on the game, what I like, what I don't like, and my overall thoughts on the whole experience, I guess, because I've been playing the game for about, I think, 30 hours, so I think I have a good amount of experience to give you some clear thoughts on where the game lands for me, I guess. So let's start by the good. So what is good about Returnal? Well, fortunately, a lot of things. I'm going to start by the sound. I think the sound design in the game is fantastic. Whether we're talking about the sound of the characters, the sound of the creatures, or just the sound of the environment, everything is so well captured and it's so immersive, especially if you're using a 3D audio feature from the PS5, which just puts the experience on another level, you know. It's really something to behold, and I've never quite experienced something like this, honestly. Another thing that I think it's kind of obvious when it comes to big budget games, but I think it's still worthy of mentioning, the graphics. The graphics are great. I wouldn't say it's the best looking game on the PlayStation 5. I still think that title belongs to either Miles or maybe Demon's Souls, but I think Miles still holds that title. But nevertheless, the game looks fantastic. I'm going back to what I said, but the creatures, the characters, the environments, all are so well captured and they look so good. There's so many details gathered around each level, which is just great. And I feel like I would say there's about 6 different areas, and they all feel like they had their proper time put into it to make you feel like you're actually in different areas, you know. Usually sometimes some games use the same environments, use the same locations over and over again, but no, Returnal, it's pretty different. Another thing that I think in Returnal works perfectly is story. And when I say perfectly, I mean it's used as much as I thought it would be used, which is just about enough to keep the game going. It's nothing to behold, it's nothing incredible, but it is still a pretty good story mode, if you will. Like, there's this whole thing about learning more about your past life and why you're stranded here, and it's all tackled in like a first-person puzzle game, you know? Think of horror games, more or less. Like, whenever you're playing a horror game, it's usually first person, you're trying to figure out things to get out of the house. Returnal is kind of like the same thing when it comes to the sections regarding the story, and I feel like this was a very different thing. And not only it's different, it's a breather from what you're experiencing, because Returnal can get really chaotic. Really chaotic. I think the best word I could use to describe my experience with Returnal is take the gameplay from Control, take the chaos from Doom, and you have Returnal. That's basically it. So when you come across these story narrative driven sections, they feel so good because it's such a pause on the hell you're facing out there. It's really good. It's nothing that was going to win awards. It's nothing that you're probably going to be talking about when the year ends, like, yeah, you gotta play this game for the story. No, because that's not the strongest suit in Returnal, but it's pretty good. Now, the strongest suit is my last good, which is the gameplay. The gameplay in Returnal is fantastic. Honestly, it's one of the most fun games I've played in a really, really long time. I'm serious, guys. Returnal is one of the best third-person shooter mechanics I've ever experienced. I think it's super well designed. I think it's super addictive, and it just makes my whole... Even these games usually kind of break your spirit because you keep dying over and over. But with Returnal, I kind of want to play again. Not even if when I die, I'm like, okay, I'm still enjoying the gameplay because the gameplay is so good. And roguelike games need to have great gameplay, because if you don't have great gameplay, people are going to get tired, people are going to get bored, and it is probably just gonna give up. I keep going back to Returnal. Even though I'm getting my ass kicked every now and then, I keep going back because it's just that good. Whether I'm just in a few areas with a few creatures that are basically the easiest characters in the game, or I'm facing one of the bosses, it's just that fun. And there's a lot of variety when it comes to the weapons. It's mostly it's alienistic weapons, but they're really assault rifles, rocket launchers, shotguns, but they all feel very different from each other. A run with an assault rifle is completely different than a run with a shotgun, because it totally changes how you play the game. And to me, it just keeps, like I said, the game more refreshing, and it's just a good way for you to try out what fits you best, you know? And like I said, the guns feel awesome controlling, and with the haptic feedback and the DualSense, your experience when it comes to shooters is just heightened every time you play it on the PS5. And Returnal takes advantage of the DualSense and the triggers beautifully. I think Miles still has the best features, like I said, but this one comes pretty close. There's also other things in game like items, which is something that you're probably used to seeing in games by now. There's consumables like health packs and other things that give you like little boosts, temporary boosts. But I think the biggest thing in Returnal for me is the parasites. Now the parasites are basically creatures that you attach to yourself, and they give you an advantage, but they give you a benefit, they also take something from you. So basically imagine a parasite that gives you 50% more defense, but at the same time it takes 10% of your health. That's the type of situation you're dealing with here in Returnal, and it just makes these situations more thrilling because you're kind of betting on your fate, you know? Sometimes you can do a run, it's going really well, and then you find that perfect parasite, but at the same time you kind of don't want to get because you're afraid it will ruin your whole experience, but at the same time you kind of want to get because it might just help you beat the next boss or creature or whatever. And it just makes this whole experience more of a gamble, but at the same time it's really thrilling because you never know what you're gonna get, and you never know the outcome of the situations. And it's something that I've not experienced in games so often, so it's really something that I found interesting in Returnal, and I thoroughly enjoy. It also enables some of my biggest rages, but it's still pretty cool. And yeah, like I said, the other stuff, it's your typical items, consumables, all that stuff. So I just wanted to mention this part because I feel like it's really something we have not seen in games before, and I hope we keep on seeing. At least I haven't, whenever we see these type of things, are they really like gamble type situations? Here in Returnal you have your life in your hands, so it's literally gambling your time and your life in the game, and you don't know the outcome, you know nothing about the outcome. So it's really thrilling, it's really different, and I really appreciated that. Now that's basically all the good out of the way. Let's get on to the bad, which is not a lot, but I think what we have is kind of bad. So let's go with the bad. The bad, honestly, it just comes down one thing, but I feel like this thing is really, really strong, and that is the channel doesn't have saves, doesn't have save options. So whenever you're playing the game, if you die, you go back. But if you let's put a scenario here where you're playing the game for 60 minutes, let's say 60 minutes, okay, and you have to go. You have to stop because I want to give clarification, because in Returnal some runs can go up to 90 to 2 hours. You know, like a decent run can take up to 90 minutes or 2 hours. So imagine you're playing for an hour and you gotta go because you have to do something, but this run is going so well. I'm gonna pause it, I'm gonna save. Nope. Your only option here is to leave your PlayStation on rest mode, and even then can get fucked because PlayStation has those weird like auto update things, and the game might crash while it's on rest mode. That I've seen that happening, so you lose all your progress. And this situation, I feel like it's going to be very, very subjective, because there's people who have the time to play these games and maybe they don't feel that bothered by it because they do have the time. But me, myself, I don't have that time. I don't have the time to play games for more than like 2 hours. I just don't. I have a girlfriend, I have friends, I have family, and on my best day, I have like 5-6 hours to game. On those days, probably this doesn't bother me as much, but I've played Returnal during days where I only could play really for about 2-3 hours, and I felt like I had accomplished nothing. And I feel like this is the worst feeling you can get when playing this type of games, which is like it feels like you made no progress and you're just wasting your time. And that's because these runs take really long time, and there's no way for me to pause and save and continue whenever I feel like it. Now, Housemarquee did say they heard people's issues with the save option, which is none, and they hope that they can work on something to accommodate these people. But that's basically saying nothing, because for all we know, they do jack shit, and we're still on the same situation in like 3 months. And for some people, that's it. That's okay. That's fine. So I'm not going to experience the game. But to other people like me, I want to experience the game. So I hope that eventually is added so I can have more fun with this game, because you even feel discouraged sometimes playing, because you know it's going to take you a really long time to get where you want to get, and there's no way to stop it. So you feel like it's not worth playing, because I'm probably not going to get to where I want to go, because halfway through it I just have to go or I have to do other things and I can't save it. So what's the point in just starting it if I can't stop it, you know? So it really depends on where you land. I've seen some people say they don't get bothered by this because they have a decent time to play games. I've seen other people that don't have time to play games but say like, oh, I like this because it's a challenge. And there's other people, and this is a lot of people actually, that feel like it's not worth it because they don't have the time to play it. So my overall thoughts on Returnal: I'm loving my experience, and I'm hating my experience. On one hand, I have this incredible game with incredible gameplay, stunning visuals, a great sound design, and really cool story. On the other, I have this game that keeps beating me to shit, and it's frustrating me because I can't stop my progression because the game doesn't have a save mode, and it's affecting my overall enjoyment. Honestly, when I started playing the game, it didn't bother me as much because I think when I started, I wasn't really progressing a lot. I was just getting the feel of the game, and I kept dying fairly early in my run, so it wasn't bothering me. But then the more I played, the more I learned. So the more I learned, the more I advanced, and the more I advanced. And when these things happen, which are either I just have to go and I can't stay playing, so I close my position and I lose all my progress, or the crashes, because the game has a few crashes. It only happened twice so far in 3 hours, more or less. So it's not horrible, but these crashes, like I said, can mean that you lose all your progress. So it's really annoying. But I do hope I think the good seriously outweighs the bad. Like I said, when I started playing the game, I was loving it so much. I was willing to give this game like an 8.5, but right now I feel like the game is an 8. I know I shouldn't be giving a grade, but I like giving grades, and I feel like I've played enough to give the game a grade. So yeah, Returnal, 8 out of 10. And yeah, that wraps up our video. Let me know if you like these types of videos, because I'm thinking of doing the same for Resident Evil 8. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.